Welcome to the Creative Connections podcast, connecting creatives and geeks all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time, once a week. We are grateful to be sponsored by several software tools sold in our tech shop at Cre8tivConnections.tech. Check it out today and see what new tools we have for your business or creativity. And now, here is your hostess of Creative Connections, putting hashtag art and apps on the map, Stacy Braiuca.
All right, are you guys ready? Episode 2 of Creative Connections, where we bring creatives and geeks together all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time, once a week. And this week, I am super excited. I was actually supposed to be on the road doing this remote from St. Louis, but life happens and things, flipped and flopped, and we still got it together. And instead, I'm doing it live online, and I'm still going to be telling you about some amazing creativity and technology today. The topic today is the first robotics championships, which has been held in St. Louis, Missouri for a long while. I live in Missouri as well, so it's not very far, and for the last 2 years I was able to attend live. As somebody who was going to be a ceramic engineer out of high school, it is geek cool. The whole thing's geek. Like for 3 days it's solid geek. Hashtag, oh my god, robots, hashtag inspiration, everything. And in a little bit, I'll tell you a little bit more about what inspired me. But the championships are going on in St. Louis this weekend. Last weekend, they were on in Houston. And so they got so big, they had to, have 2 different championships. So I have some family members who are on a team, and I'm sporting their colors today, and I got my 1511 Rolling Thunder shirt on, and I am cheering from one side of the state to the other for Team 1511 Rolling Thunder, who's playing on the Curie subdivision field. Let me show you the results from earlier and see what's going on here. So you can see in these results, I guess they're over that way, I'm pointing the wrong direction, all the different qualifying matches from just the Curie playing field. Now, there's lots of numbers, there's lots of things, so as I highlight this, qualification match 7 I watched this morning, it was super fun. Team 1511 was on what was called the Blue Alliance. So there's 2 alliances of people playing with each other, and they play a game with robots. So each team brings a robot, so there's 6 robots on the field at the same time. They all come together and do some kind of challenge or game. And this year was steampunk. So let me see if I have the video queued up, and I can show you what this year's game is about. All right. Hopefully this will come through.
Welcome to the first robotics competition and the 2017 game, First Steamworks. 2 adventurer clubs, alliances of 3 teams each, prepare for a long-distance airship race by collecting fuel to build steam pressure, installing gears to engage rotors, and climbing aboard for liftoff. The airship best prepared for flight when the launch timer reaches 0 wins. Matches begin with robots touching their Alliance station wall. Teams may preload up to 10 fuel elements and 1 gear on each robot. Fuel is available in hoppers placed around the perimeter of the field. Additional fuel and gears are available at the Alliance loading station. During the first 15 seconds of the match, the robots are autonomous. They work to reach their baseline, score fuel in the boiler, or deliver gears to the airship. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human drivers remotely control their robots. They continue to gather fuel from the field and the hoppers to score in the boilers. They also collect and deliver more gears. human players located behind the Alliance Station wall deliver gears and recycled fuel to robots through the loading stations. Steam pressure builds as fuel is added to the boilers. The high boiler produces more steam per unit of fuel than the low boiler. The more fuel scored in the boiler, the higher the steam pressure climbs. Alliances earn points for the amount of steam pressure built, and pressure over a certain level earns an additional bonus. Each airship has 4 rotors, with some gears missing. Oh dear. Gears delivered to the airship lifts are retrieved by the airship pilots, who then place them in the gear train to engage and spin up the rotors. Each rotor requires an increasing number of gears to become engaged. Points are awarded for each airship rotor turning by the end of the match.
Building robots.
Airships spinning all 4 rotors also earn an additional bonus. Towards the end of each match, pilots deploy ropes for their robots to climb aboard. Alliances earn points for each robot secured aboard the airship by the end of the match.
More points.
Be prepared. It takes time for the boilers to process fuel for the airships. Fuel put in the boiler near the very end of the match may not get processed before the airship takes off. The alliance with the highest score at the end of the match earns the win. Ready your robot, fly your banner, and prepare to take flight with this year's first robotics competition, First Steamworks! Ha ha!
Alright, so now you have a little more of an idea of what 3 robots on one side and 3 robots on the other looks like and what they've got to do. Now, the robots don't exactly look steampunk like in there, but then again, they're not far off. And I thought it was just kind of cool that they did like steampunk steamworks kind of thing, you know, and took it like retro and all that. So to me, that was like creativity and then the technology of the robots. And they had robots building robots. And oh man, I wish I was in St. Louis. But instead, lucky that I have one of the parents of a participant on the phone with me, and hopefully here in about 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere into our show here, we might get to watch qualification match number 31 on live. It's a peek at number 28. They just got started, it looks like, back again on Curie Field, and we'll go back there in just a minute. But I would like to introduce you guys to Anne, who is on the phone with me, taking time out of her day to kind of tell us a little bit about what it's like, you know, like, well, okay, one of the things I said was, if FIRST had been there for me when I was in high school, because it started in 1992, and I was well out of high school by then and into life. I think my life would have turned out different, and I might have been that ceramic engineer had FIRST been there to continue my excitement with science and technology. But it wasn't, and so now FIRST inspires me vicariously by watching. And I'll actually let my guest maybe introduce herself briefly and tell us how she's involved in FIRST.
Hi, my name's Anne, and my son Ian has been on Team 1511 for the past 4 years. He is currently a senior in high school, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for him. The things that FIRST students gain from this program are amazing. One of the biggest is the community that this team becomes, and it's kids who have drive and interest and excitement, and they support each other and they guide each other, and it's a wonderful thing for your high school years.
Could you speak up just a little bit more, just in case people may not be able to hear? I don't know. Since I have you on the phone, it's a little bit harder. So it turns into a community of kids.
It is completely a community of kids and families and mentors who all work together to reach the goal of doing the best they can in the championships, but also just helping each other be the best people they can be. And it helps them understand what they might want to do with their careers. It's such a difficult thing for high school kids to determine what they want to do next, and this gives them exposure to so many different things.
So it's not just science, technology, education, and or engineering and mathematics.
No, not at all. Not at all. The kids break down into sub-teams typically and work on all sorts of different things. So the STEM-related things, they do a lot of mechanical and electrical engineering. They do a lot of CAD design. They do actually machining of parts. So if you're interested in the engineering side, you've got all kinds of different things that you can get hands-on experience with. They do programming for the autonomous section at the beginning of the game. So if you're not really into the engineering, but you like programming, you can go ahead and do that. They have a marketing group that helps to market the team and that also prepares a really detailed video for the Chairman's Award every year, which our team has been lucky enough to win multiple times at regionals. And the Chairman's Award basically is the team that exemplifies the first, the values of first, the best.
I think I might have that video, actually.
You might, but it gives an idea, it gives the kids an opportunity who aren't interested in engineering to work on that kind of a project, like a marketing, almost a TV sort of a thing. There are kids who work on the finance of the team. There are kids who do primarily strategy, which is very important. They watch how other teams perform so that when you're at a championship, you can determine who you would want to be on an alliance with. They do a lot of community service, and they do a lot of fundraising. And one of the biggest things with the fundraising is they need to go out and speak to businesses to try to generate money to support the team.
Oh, wow.
If they don't get money, that's okay. If they've gone and spoken to the business owners, they still get credit. But it's pushing them out into the real world to talk to real business owners about what they're doing. And it's an invaluable experience in terms of preparing them for later.
So, let's see. And I know some of the people who watch this show are business people and marketers, and I have a feeling they probably had no idea that something that has to do with robots and kids would have anything to do with them, where maybe even they could help the kids learn more about marketing themselves even, and they could be the business that the kids work with for maybe sponsorships or helping plan an event or fundraising. Absolutely.
Oh,
wow.
The other thing that this team in particular does, and some of the kids on the team, this is their primary focus, is advocacy with the government. We have members of our team who have gone to Washington to meet with senators and congressmen the last several years to talk about the importance of keeping STEM alive in all of our schools and giving opportunities to kids all across the country to be sure that they're exposed to this kind of activity and that they have the resources that they need. But that really has very little to do with engineering, but it's still part of the program.
Well, as a social worker who teaches policy for my day job, I actually am very impressed that they're teaching kids how to advocate for themselves. As we've all seen in the last year, speaking up for ourselves, no matter what side of any line you're on, no matter what issue it is, no matter anything, speaking up for ourselves and voting and being involved in our civic government is super important. And whether it's about engineering or about, education itself and being able to have public education or whatever it is, but teaching the kids their civic responsibilities like that and how to do it is something that most people wouldn't expect from a robotics program. So that's really cool. I'm super impressed by that part.
Yeah, me too. And kind of along with what you're saying, as they design their robot, they get together as a team and they brainstorm all kinds of ideas about how they want to approach the game. And they have to learn to listen to each other, to respectfully disagree with each other, and to come to a consensus, which is a skill that is invaluable no matter what you do with your life.
Working on a team in any way like that, if communication and teamwork is, even if you're an independent business owner, it's super important to be able to communicate and collaborate with other people.
Absolutely.
You have to, you could probably, and I don't know that any of these kids would want to be a trash collector, but I also know one of the games one year was trash collection, was recycling. So, but no matter what field you're in life, you have to be able to communicate with each other, to be working on a team. I know teaching graduate school, group projects is one of the things my students are horrified by, but that takes working together, and it also takes creativity, being able to come together and brainstorm and respect each other's ideas, and to be able to reach out and kind of push the boundaries and go into new things, which to me exemplifies creativity. And then of course, being science and engineering, etc., they have like the cutting edge pieces of technology that many people might not have. And that gets my geek girl all kinds of excited that they get to, they've got 3D printers going, maybe printing test parts. Or didn't they do another project with 3D printers too?
Our team. Our team? Is that
yes. Didn't they do something with a hand?
Yes, they still are doing that. One of our students, I wish I knew the name of the company he's working with, but he set up this program on his own. They are 3D printing hands for amputees that then go to a company that puts all of the electronics into it so that they work with your own natural nerves in your arm. And it allows people who have had their hands amputated to have a functioning hand. And this team has made, I don't know how many, but hundreds, if not more, 3D printed hands for this company as part of their community service.
Amazing. So it's community service, but he also then maybe, does it sound like he kind of also maybe got himself into a job or his own company?
No, he's a junior in high school.
He's still a junior in high school, so he's even just, wow.
Right now.
That's even more impressive.
He was very passionate about this when he saw the 3D printer, and he had heard about this as a possibility and done some research. And that's where I think the speaking to businesses is so helpful, because he was comfortable to contact a company and say, I want to participate in this. And he was able to get it started.
Wow, that takes some major initiative, drive, motivation. And of course, everybody talks about like college kids, even people coming out of college being idealistic. And, but idealism is not a bad thing either, because that's where that's really where the, creative motivation in life kind of comes from. And I think we need both the foundation of people with wisdom and people with that idealistic creativity, and to be able to work together across generations even, which is a whole different show, but it's really impresses me that they're working with kids to develop those skills. It just beyond impressive. I'm kind of keeping an eye over here in the background. They're on qualification match number 30 of 114, so I don't want to, it looks like I think they're getting ready to go into number 30. And I want to make sure and see if we can catch number 31. I don't have the results on 30 yet. I don't know if you verified that from your side, but maybe not.
No.
So like, and I was sitting here when you were talking about the hands, looking at my own hand of, and man, I'm spewing out all sorts of personal today, but it is my show, so I guess that's all right. I have a hand injury from about 9 years ago, and the idea of had I had to have my hand amputated or a finger or anything because of that injury, what would have been there for doing that? And because I know just with the limited hand injury I had, and it's not much comparatively, it changes how you do things in life. Any injury does. And it literally just changes how you approach different things. Like, I grab a cup at a drive-through differently than I did ever before. And people may laugh at me because I reach over with my right hand and reach for the drive-through instead of reaching out the window with my left hand. And that's because I don't feel like I have a comfortable grip on that left hand. And I wonder, had I had, have something else, would it be, would I feel more comfortable and confident with that? So lots of different things that just that one kid with the idea of having a 3D printer and making a hand. And they've helped lots of people with that. That's just incredible. I remember seeing actually the hand that they did, and I'll try and find that and put it actually in I'll try and put it in the show notes if I can find a video or a link to anything with it. I'll put that in the show notes or what have you in the links below this show so you guys can see it. I'm trying to see also who's watching today. I see there's at least one person watching, and I see that Peggy Kinder checked in and gave me some hearts. Appreciate you, Peggy. We're watching Team 1511 that also has a Potawatomi boy playing on that team. We probably won't see him because we're going to see the robotics, and he's up in the stands or back down in the pits helping his team out. A lot of times he does, at least last year, I know he did a lot of they do kind of, it's not cheerleading, it's rallying their area and rallying people to, yell for Red Alliance or Blue Alliance, depending on which one they're on for that match. And just kind of keeping everybody hyped up, because this competition is held in the big arena, like a basketball type arena down there, and it's huge. And this field you're going to see is one of six fields set up in that arena. So it's not a small field, and there's 6 of them, and there's music going everywhere, and it's fast moving. The matches are only about 2.5 to 3 minutes long each. We're going to watch here in about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2. We're going to watch qualification match number 31 on Curie Field in St. Louis, to see what happens with the Blue Alliance is who I'm going to be yelling for, even though I'm wearing some red right now. But really, one of the things they learn, and I'll tell you again later, we've kind of alluded to, is this gracious professionalism. That it doesn't matter which team, if you're up against another team, it's a respect of everyone's knowledge, abilities, humanness, and their, what they've got going on. I've seen teams that had major catastrophes with robots help have other teams help them with their robot. Even if they were like playing against them, that doesn't matter, because it's about helping each other and being there for each other, but also solving problems. So that's just, some of my insight into what I've seen there. And I really hope that the team actually might get to watch this video later and see it or listen to us. Those of you who are listening on the podcasts, please go over to Cre8tivConnections.com, Cre8tiv Connections.com, and watch episode number 2. We're going to be talking, we're here talking, but you'll be able to see what we're talking about. Because seeing these robots zip around the field and how fast this goes is amazing in and of itself. So let's see if I am going to give this a second. Take a sippy here. And it looks like they're announcing the winner from qualification number 30, and it looks like the Red Alliance pulled that off at 305 points to 295. Like, some of these matches are just right there, and they even flip. Like, that was what the match was, but I don't think that's what it always is. I'm going to unmute that tab, and then I'm going to flip over to it here in a second, so you guys can see what we're watching. And I'll turn that audio back up here in just a second. You can see they're taking the robots off the field now from the previous match. And you can see the fun costumes. Imagine walking before or after a sporting event, and you're walking through the hallways of the arena, and there are people dressed much more freaky than me. Apparently, my dress here today, and like what I'm wearing, I should have spiked my hair into a red mohawk. I missed it by that much. But, you know, it is what it is. I am sporting my red, black, and white camo, though, which is the colors for Rolling Thunder. And so you ask, how does a Kansas City girl follow a team from Rochester, New York? Well, it's family. I'll just say that. Double check here that our sound is on for the matches. And I'm also going to double check that they're ready to do. They don't have the results up for number 30 on the official screen yet, but that's okay. I'm sorry that's slow. I'm kind of going slow here, but I don't want to miss this next match, so I want to make sure. And I want to see, there's nobody in the audience right now.
All right, on the field now.
Here we go.
We got some defending world champs here. 2481.
From Tremont, Illinois, it's the Roboteers.
Let's try that again. 2481.
From Tremont, Illinois, the Roboteers.
Yeah, it's a little bit more love to them. Next to them, 3260.
There should be more
From
yelling.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it's Sharp.
And next to Shark, 1598.
From Danville, Virginia, it's Team Talon.
Check out the cool flags.
That is red down here in blue, 1511.
From Penfield, it's the Rolling Thunder.
Rolling of
Next to them,
Thunder.
4500.
From Clayton, Missouri, it's the Robohounds.
And rounding out blue,
Missouri kids.
4572.
From Lafayette, Indiana, it's the Maverick Boiler Robotics. Your
Standing
blue
in
lights.
corner, Lafayette.
They got a cool name for this year. Boiler Robotics, and it's steam. See if I can get there we go, mine on my screens. So you can get the full-on experience. Well, with me in the corner.
Pilots prepare for flight, drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go!
Team Talon up to the front. And they're making it rain over on the far side. That's 48-21 machine of the Roboteers out of Illinois. Swinging a miss on the gear, but the Blue Alliance got theirs. Meanwhile, they picked up 9 kPa, the Red Alliance, on that exchange. Got good range on that 2481 machine, the Roboteers out of Tremont, Illinois.
So you see down in the corner, they're trying to
Back
get
up a little
balls
bit. Now
into
they're getting back into the game, going after more fuel.
in there for fuel for later.
Get up off the floor, now they're going to play their gear. That's the Caterpillar machine. Get a little love tap from the 1511 machine. That's the Rolling Thunder.
Then they have to go pick
Out of
up the
Penfield, New
gears.
York. 4272.
Bring 'em over
the
to
Maverick
the-
Boiler Invasions. Out
to
in
the-
midfield, wreaking havoc on the Red Alliance.
To their alliance, and then they're putting the gears together on the top. It gets wild watching 3 different little screens like that.
Little bumper car action out there in the middle, and another battery gets ejected from a machine. 1598. The Team Talon out of Danville, Virginia. That collision in midfield shot that battery right out of their machine.
Oh no! And they can't do anything about it. They can't go
Blue
down there on the
Alliance,
field.
last minute to play in qualification match number 31 here on the Curie field. 1511 Rolling Thunder into the gear retrieval zone. They got their
They
gear,
got a
and they're
gear.
off to the races again. 4272's
Ooh.
still slowing
Kind of-
down that awesome Red Alliance.
People trying
They're
to block
still
'em.
pulling away. 195, 107, advantage blue. That sound, you know it. We're in the end game now.
This is a fairly low-scoring match, but probably because that one robot lost his battery. And it's too bad because that team had
There's
a bunch
our
of
first
fuel,
blue one
too.
up. The 4272 machine, the Maverick Boiler Invasion. Rolling Thunder's engaged. And the Robo-Hounds for the Blue Alliance. Still got 4 seconds. Oh, that one's going to leave a mark. He dropped all the way down.
Oh. Great job, Rolling Thunder and Blue Alliance. Great job, Red Alliance. They did. They had fuel up. They were, working together, and the collision got their battery. Oh.
It's really hard. If you lose a robot, it's really hard.
If you lose something,
All right,
yeah.
Scores are in. Let's take a look. Up through the clouds and across the finish line. The Blue Alliance 345 to 162. Got their rotors and the win, picking up those 3 ranking points.
Oh.
So, Stacy, you know what is really amazing to me about this whole thing?
What's that?
When they form these alliances, they meet these other teams from all around the world very shortly before their match. And within the framework of the game, because they all understand the game, they have to communicate a strategy amongst themselves and determine who's going to play what roles. Sometimes you're doing that with kids who don't speak English.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You have a very limited amount of time at the tournament to decide how your alliance is going to work. It's not something you've planned for weeks, and that happens match after match after match.
I was going to say it's like every 4 minutes there's a new alliance on each side.
Right.
And you're with people you haven't met before who come from different parts of the country and the world. Because I know that when the last couple of years when I've been there, some of the teams have been from, Israel. Israel has a cool team. Venezuela. Australia, Canada, of course. And that last year they announced that it was more international. So we're not just talking about team building skills. We're really talking about world building skills.
Absolutely.
All the way around.
And then some of the kids sitting up in the stands are actually preparing to choose teams, if you're lucky enough at the end, to be someone who chooses an alliance for the finals. You want to document all through the matches who's good at what. What team do you think you would be able to work with in a final alliance to win the match? So a lot of those kids are paying really close attention and documenting what works and doesn't work for all the other teams so that they can determine who to invite to their alliance if they're in the finals.
Right. So and that's determined like at where they kind of are in the standings.
By your ranking, right. At the end of that match, they showed ranking. And during the match, you do different things to earn ranking points that move you up.
So there's ranking, there's points, there's ranking points, there's points for what teams. And the kids, I suspect, the kids need to be really good at or have some technology available that helps them with the statistics there and the potential statistics for what may happen.
Oh, absolutely.
So they have to forecast what's going on.
Absolutely.
So there's kids up in the stands they're not just up there watching. They actually have very specific jobs that each, and I keep saying kids, but really these are young adults, especially since they're learning how to communicate like young adults. I would say these are young adults versus maybe some adults that I know. So I'm actually, my headband is trying to come off here, and I'm going to keep it real and play with it. So you were talking earlier, I want to see if I have the video for their chairman's video. And I want to kind of go back and see what we can hear more about Team 1511 and what they did for their chairman's video. Can play that.
An idea rolling in the minds of a young engineer and two parents
grew to 1511.
A team who is driven by extreme amounts of passion.
We are the team that builds robots, relationships, our community, and each other.
We are the team that tries to help everyone.
We'll try anything.
Stick with it.
Make it better.
Make it grow.
We are every team, and every team is us.
We are Rolling Thunder,
and this is our story.
Started by a first alum.
Our aspirations were high.
We built a strong foundation in our first year.
Eventually winning championships Rookie All-Star.
We started with Rochester Rally, a week zero scrimmage, and then Ruckus, a Halloween-themed off-season event we organized with the committee of firsters.
We make a stronger impact when we work with other teams.
So we joined forces with 340 to create First Mega Drive on Make a Difference Day.
This year, we collected over 15,000 items at our event Ruckus from attending teams. We won $10,000 from USA Weekend magazine that we used to start and sustain 6 FRC and FTC teams to continue making a difference. We've always picked causes that hit close to home, like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Walk for Rachel,
the JDRF Walk for me,
the Cystic Fibrosis Walk for Kyle,
and made congenital heart disease bravery bags for baby Leo.
For Honor Flight, we wrote letters to veterans and were able to give them the hero's welcome they deserve.
In 2015, we started 3D printing prosthetic hands
for children with disabilities through the organization Enable.
We immediately fell in love with the idea, and by the following year,
all hands were on deck.
We were producing hands as fast as we could to send to kids all around the world. We recently learned that some of our 44 hands made it to children in Iraq.
We realized that to get more kids interested in STEM, you have to start at a young age.
That's why I was so passionate about other levels at first.
We sponsored a total of 204 FLL Junior, FLL, and FTC teams.
We've run FLL coach seminars and summer camps for over 100 kids every year.
We also created the Penfield FLL qualifier and 2 FLL scrimmage-style events.
We also helped organize the first Rochester FTC qualifier
and our very own FTC team, 6996. They're the oncoming storm to our thunder.
Our robot brings smiles
to 20-plus demos a year.
Like at a children's hospital, food truck rodeos, and city schools.
We couldn't have achieved all we have without the leadership skills we learned on 1511.
By running our major events, demos, fundraisers, community services, and sub-teams.
We've attended the first National Advocacy Conference for 3 years
and are co-organizing it this year.
We advocated for the Every Student Succeeds Act that funds after-school programs like FIRST, and it passed.
We couldn't have been able to do this without our sponsor, Harris.
Our school, our mentors, and our parents, who are more amazing than words can describe.
For 13 years, we've experienced hardships and love,
death and life, but we're always there for each other.
Our team is like thunder.
It doesn't just affect those who hear it.
It creates a sound so powerful
that it can be felt miles away.
The thunder just keeps getting louder.
Wow. That almost made me cry. That's an
example of real experience that they get to put that very professional video together.
Yeah, well, it's not just like some video that like tells, somebody jumped on live like I am today and just put something together. It's they thought about what they were going to do. They thought about not only what they're going to do in the video, they did all of the things that were in the video. And then they were promoting themselves and marketing that, not really marketing it in a like sales way, but marketing it in a, this is what it's done for us way, in a giving way.
Right.
Wow. I'm just stunned.
I know, it's pretty powerful, isn't it?
How does it feel to be a parent with a well, either how does it feel to be a parent with a child involved in this, or how do you think your son has changed since he's been involved in FIRST?
He has changed in so many ways. Coming into high school, I think that he didn't really understand his place in the school community and where he fit in. And this was a place that he immediately felt like he fit in, he was accepted, he had something to offer. And it became his whole social group. Most of his friends are part of the first organization. And as a parent, I'm really thrilled with that because, you know, kids get involved with all sorts of different things in their teen years. And this is a really constructive, positive thing that he's been involved in. I've seen him a lot more interested in community service issues and in things that others need. He has to keep his grades up or he can't participate, so that's always a good thing.
Right. And being this is his last year involved in FIRST as a high school student.
Right.
But am I right that they have some potential involvement in some ways as alumni?
They do in various ways. The college that he will be attending does support a local high school team, so he could help with that where he will be going to college. And then a lot of the people come along and participate at the tournaments, helping in various ways. We see alumni quite frequently.
So they're supportive and involved at the least, and have potential to become involved in local teams. Like you said, local team where he's going to go to, where he's planning on going to college, he could be involved that way.
Exactly.
And eventually maybe get himself in a position to be a mentor.
That was going to be my next thing, is then if he's interested down the road, he can become a mentor. Which is we have mentors on this team. You know, a lot of them are parents who have kids currently on the team, but a lot of them are people who either had kids who've already graduated and they enjoyed it so much that they still do it. And there are some mentors who don't even have kids, but were just interested in being involved with kids and helping them explore different things and watching them learn and develop. And they've been doing it for years and they don't even have children.
Wow. So they're people who, I mean, well, and I actually, that touches me pretty close, because not having kids of my own, being involved just in the supportive way that I have has been the only way I have. But mentorship is something I enjoy doing for people in my field of social work, but also just anybody who wants to learn about technology and creativity and things. And that's kind of, I'm stretching my field at, for another career, to stretch into helping coach and mentor people with technology. So it's kind of like, I probably couldn't be a mentor on FIRST because I think there's some specific qualifications. But I can definitely be a cheerleader.
Well, and you probably could be a mentor.
Really?
You know, as I said, there's so many different areas that are required to support the team that there probably is a place.
Well, considering they do the advocacy, and that is one of my areas of expertise, I probably could mentor in that way.
Right.
And teach them.
I would think that you could.
Some local
teams.
teams.
The other thing about the mentors is that the kids in these high school years that are so important for them, they are experiencing adults mentoring younger people on a first-hand basis. And they're learning personally what that means to them. So the likelihood that they're going to go out and do something later as adults to support others is just enhanced amazingly.
You know, that just brought to mind a quote that I grew up with. My great-grandfather passed away when I was about 4 years old. Maybe 5. Actually 5 years old, because it was near my 5th birthday. And my brother had barely gotten to meet him. And he was a very strong man, came from Scotland. And he worked in the... he worked in kind of an engineering-related field in steel. And he worked in a factory, and one of the things he did that I found out later in my life was he had some of his coworkers that had their paychecks, and the paychecks, they would go and spend it on alcohol if other people didn't kind of help guide and mentor them. And he would help kind of guide some of his coworkers and mentor and make sure that their families had food and such for those coworkers. And then he also, there was the saying that he had that I grew up later with and heard, and I hear it in my head all the time, is pass it on. And my grandparents raised me with the philosophy of pass it on to other people. And I think that's part of why I became a social worker. It's part of where my heart is. It's part of my family's values. Knowing some of those people, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
That's part of where that came from is that point, and to watch it come full circle and come around to watching a program like this bring people to pass it on is it just yet another way to touch my heart. And yeah, so this show today has been all about Stacy. No, it hasn't. Just kidding. I'm very kidding, because really it is about what this amazing organization brings to the world, and literally to the world, and potentially to our planet and our survival as humans. In a really long, in the 30,000 universe view, I think that's a big piece of it. I know that the kids, part of how the kids think about their mentors, when have you seen a kid say thank you to an adult about anything?
Not very often.
Especially a teenager saying thank you to an adult.
And huffing and puffing.
Yeah, that just doesn't happen. But I want to show you guys this one last video before we leave out. I'll let you know this has been Creative Connections. It's kind of a laid-back show, but also about a really important topic, about connecting humans, using technology, using community, using mentorship. And I hope that you found something in here you didn't know about this organization, and that you can go on and maybe see if there's a first team in your area, and see about maybe mentoring some youth, whether they're on first or not. Maybe you know a kid who needs something positive to do, and maybe you can get them hooked up with a first team in their school. And it's not just high school kids. They have Lego leagues for little kids, as you saw in the video. They have high school teams that support those and they mentor those little kids in those teams. So maybe you've got a 4-year-old that loves playing with their Legos, and you want to make sure they kind of stay constructive as opposed to like who knows what, and you get them involved, or become involved yourself. So I hope you found something like that today. And my name's Stacy Braiuca. You can follow me on social media at Stacy Braiuca, and at Creative Connections, CRE8 Connections.com. And this has been my show on connecting geeks and creatives all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time. And we're going to leave you with a really special thank you that the kids of Team 1511 gave to their mentor just recently, who wasn't able to attend the event. Get your Kleenex out. Get your Kleenex out now. After that, I'm going to show my ending, and we will see you next week, 2 o'clock, right here. And I'll put links to all of the things we've talked about in the show notes, and see you next week.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry. Hey Larry.
Hey Larry. Hey Larry.
Hey Larry. Hey Larry. How many blue banners do we have?
How many all-nighters?
How many friends? How many box lunches?
How many essays have you critiqued? How many parts?
How many laptops? How many students? How many rivets? How many gears?
How many lights?
How many tech valves?
How many motors? How many buses?
How many meetings?
How many FLL teams?
How many competitions?
How many prosthetic hands?
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry.
Hey Larry. How many times have you scouted? How many lines of code?
How many robots?
How many build hours?
How many mentors?
How many CAD drawings? How many pep talks?
Hey Larry. How many lives changed?
Thank you for participating in our podcast today. You can find Stacy at Stacy Braiuca on any social media channels. Support us with your purchases in our tech shop, CRE number 8 TIVConnections.tech. Music courtesy of Enneagram Records, Scotty McBee, Upper Deck Studios, and Scott McBee. We appreciate their creativity, originality, and sponsorship of the show. Find the intro song Brooklyn and 59 in iTunes using the link in our show notes below. Our podcast website is CRE number 8 TIVConnections.com. Thank you from Creative Connections, bringing creatives and geeks together all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time. If you are listening on your favorite podcast website, come by and check out our previous episodes on our websites. See you next week at 2 p.m. Central for the next Creative Connections.